In the wake of her grandmother's funeral, hotel manager Lisa Reiser is waiting to fly back home when she meets charming Jackson Rittner. She thinks it's luck that they're seated together on the plane, but soon learns otherwise. Jackson hopes to assassinate the head of Homeland Security, but to do so, he needs Lisa to assign the official room's number at her hotel. As insurance, Jackson has kidnapped Lisa's father. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode, we'll be covering 2005's Red Eye, directed by Wes Craven. Hey everybody, welcome back to Midnight Double Feature. Welcome back to the feature presentation episodes. My co-pilot, my Wes Craven to my Freddy Krueger here, Zohab Ali. Cheers. How you doing, buddy?
Cheers, man. Co-pilot. That's a good one. I like that one.
Clever.
I'm a Muslim.
We were just joking in the last episode about like if we ever meld anything to each other, there's going to be 14 people that have read it first, you know?
Right, right, exactly. But no, dude, it's so funny because like whenever I go for a work trip or something, and I'm at the airport, like on a domestic flight, my other friend is Lebanese, and I always turn to him and I'm like, it's either going to be you or me, bud. And yeah, it almost always is. So
that sucks.
It's all right. It's all good. But yeah, man, I'm good. I'm excited to be covering this. This is one that you and I think I can't remember when it came up, what we were discussing, but we were both like,
times,
yeah, we were both like, oh yeah, I like that movie. And then, we weren't originally, I guess, we had a bit of a late notice with this episode because we were like, we're both free. Let's record an episode and,
why not throw one on the pot? Yeah, this is perfect for that too.
Yeah, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Yeah, how you doing, man? What's happening?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this because, like you said, we've talked about this movie for a while. And if this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. I hope you enjoy the episode. We are going to spoil this movie. There is an E on this motherfucker for a reason. If you want to check out any of the socials, they're in the show notes. You can find our Patreon, patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature, and stop by, rate and review the show. Give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. But with that out of the way, let's talk about Red Eye because I'm a pretty big Wes Craven fan. I've always enjoyed, like we've talked about this before on our episodes of Nightmare on Elm Street, that I was a Freddy Krueger kind of kid growing up. That was my slasher. But that didn't stop me from, obviously I loved like all of them, but Freddy was my guy. Freddy was my go-to guy. And so knowing that, I think put Wes Craven's name in a lot of people's like heads was actually Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Like, I feel like, cause it's straight up called that. And it's like, I was like, who's Wes Craven? And somebody had to explain to me who he was. And I was like, oh, cool. So it always put his name in my brain, and I've always Serpent in the Rainbow, The People Under the Stairs, like he did a lot of great stuff outside of Scream and A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I this is one of them that I've really wanted to talk about that just seems like it completely flew under the radar. You get it?
You son of a bitch.
Little tipsy puns, but what is your history with this? Because I saw this in the theaters. When did you first see it?
So I very explicitly remember my history with this. So we had there's a big mall near our place, and I remember when we were younger, walking around near the food court in that mall, and near the entrance. So there's a cinema above the food court, and this would be the cinema that I eventually worked in. I guess 7 years later. No, maybe what year is this? 2005. So five years later.
Okay.
Yeah, I eventually worked in that cinema, but they would have like posters to this like at the stairs, like in the food court. I remember once just like eating whatever the fuck junk food I was eating with my parents. Looking over at the posters, and there was this poster. It was like black and red, and it was the poster of Rachel McAdams looking out of the window, and it was very striking. And the title said Red Eye, and I was like, that looks, just from the poster, that looks really intriguing. I was 12 years old at this time, so I was like, that looks cool. Because I like plane movies. I think I mentioned this a couple times on the podcast. Like I like a story set around a plane because there's so much tension that could be fucking you know
Right. You're
wrought
just
out of that.
riding a giant gas bullet through the sky kind of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we never watched it in cinemas, but back then on during school holidays, we would rent movies from Blockbuster quite a bit. Like dad would be like, all right, they have this deal where you can rent 5 movies for like $12. Just like weekly movies, like weekly
Hmm.
rentals. And then, they'd be like really old. But every time I used to go to Blockbuster, I used to get like the catalog. Like Blockbuster would have like a little catalog of like things that were coming out and little reviews and stuff. And one morning, I remember having breakfast and reading that catalog, and it was like coming soon to DVD, and it was Red Eye, and it was like 5 stars, and I was like,
Hmm.
"All right, I want to watch this." And I had to ask my dad. I was like, "Dad, this thing's gonna come out on like a 1 day overnight hire,
Yeah.
so can we please rent this? Because I really, really want to watch it." And Dad was like, "Fuck, fine." He's like, I gotta rent this shit and return it the next day. God damn it!
Is it PG-13 or R?
It's PG-13, which
Nice.
but it kind of I think it skirts the line, especially when it gets stabbed through the neck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But even then, I've said many times on the podcast that my parents didn't really care about ratings, especially when it came to violence. It was never really a big thing. It was just sex for us that was a thing. Um,
So
and
weird.
so weird. But
So backwards.
I think that's pretty common though. I think that's a
Oh yeah,
common thing.
no.
Yeah.
I could watch RoboCop. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't RoboCop shooting the guy in the dick. It was him snorting the coke off the hooker's tit.
Right.
That's what did it.
That's what did it. It's so weird and so backwards, but whatever.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, we rented it and we loved it. My dad, me, my brother, we loved it. It was an experience, man. Like it was just like we've never seen this kind of movie before. At that point, sort of like set in one location. Um, and this was our introduction, well, my introduction to Wes Craven. I had never seen Nightmare on Elm Street before this. I'd never seen Scream. The name Wes Craven really stuck out to me. I
Yeah,
remember reading that review in that catalog and being like, "Ooh, Wes Craven. That sounds cool, man.
yeah.
That's a cool
He's got
name."
a killer name.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, Killer.
um, and then this guy, Killian Murphy. This was my introduction to him, obviously, and I was just like, this guy's terrifying. This guy is just straight up like his nightmare fuel. He gave me nightmares from this movie. I'm not even kidding. As a 12-year-old,
That's hilarious.
dude, his facial acting in this is really really solid.
Oh
His
yeah.
the way
Just
he's
came out
able
the
to,
same year as Batman Begins, right?
yeah, well, yeah, 2005, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, '05, yeah.
So I had not seen Batman Begins at this point. So this was my introduction to him. I think I saw Batman Begins the year after this on video, on DVD, whatever.
Gotcha.
So um I think he's absolutely terrifying in this movie. I still think he's pretty scary in this movie. Like the way he's able to bring his voice down, his intimidation of her, especially because Rachel McAdams is small. She's a tiny woman in this movie. She makes herself feel very frail.
Mhm.
And especially like when we're kind of like doing our hijinks at the end in the house and stuff, it's very I'm not going to say realistic, but she can get overpowered at any minute by this guy, and he kind of makes it very um, yeah, he makes that tension very palpable, and that's another thing. Tension in this movie is great. I think
Mhm. No,
um,
absolutely.
like that's the name of the game, and I think Craven very much knows that, right? Like that's this movie entirely. It's tension. Um, there are points in this movie where I'm just like, a lot of this feels a little TV movie for me. Some of it,
Yeah. Mhm.
the music especially, like the really kind of like generic score, like it's just like
Yeah, it felt a little, I don't know. this feels, even though it's an '05 movie, it feels like something from like the '70s or the '80s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like which originally this was written apparently for Sean Penn and Robin Wright, so that makes a lot more
Oh,
sense.
okay. I like that.
Um, which I still love the casting in this, but um,
Can I blow
yeah,
your
was it?
mind for a second?
Yeah, yeah, hit me.
The budget for this movie,
What, 24 million?
26 million.
Yeah, made like 98 million.
Right, but 26 million seems like a lot. I mean, there is a big explosion in this movie for sure, but like,
Yeah,
where?
Well, Killian Murphy had already been in 28 Days Later, so he's getting
I
a
mean,
big
sure,
paycheck.
but he's not. He's not a movie star.
I don't know, man, because like even here in the States, when 28 Days Later came out, we had it on VHS like the year after it came out, and it was huge. 28 Days Later was a big deal, at least over here, like when it dropped. And I don't know, had she done The Notebook yet? Because The
I was
Notebook,
just thinking that. I was like, is this
dude,
before or after the Notebook? But that
Zoe,
was
the South, the South goes to The Notebook like Tyrone Biggums goes to The Rock. It
really. You know, I've
is
never
it
seen that.
good. No, I haven't either. I've heard it's a good movie though. But the South, good God, man! Like I can't tell you how many people I know. I love The Notebook. I'm like, I know you do.
Every time we scroll past it, Steph is like, "Is today the day that you watch the Notebook?" And I'm like, "Today is not that day."
No, yeah, today is not that day.
Yeah, so she had been in this movie in the Notebook. So that came out in 2004. Well, also Mean Girls, that was huge for her. So
Oh yeah, so a lot of that 24 million probably went to her and Craven. To be honest,
I don't think so. I don't see that budget going to these two. That kind of payday
well, I
going to
guess
these
yeah,
two.
Brian Cox, veteran actor, he's
Sure.
but yeah, it is kind of like yeah, where the fuck did all this money go? They're actually money laundering.
I think Wes Craven was
Allegedly.
straight up like Walter White from Breaking
Yeah,
Bad.
yeah. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But yeah, I went and saw this with a bunch of kids I was in chorus with in high school. This performers chorus thing that we all did. And we all went and saw this in the theater. And I will never. Everybody really, really loved it. Everybody was really enjoying it. And there's this one guy who shall remain nameless that was with us, and he was he was a sensitive guy. He was what a lot of guys would be like, dude, that guy's a fucking pussy. And it's like, I don't personally subscribe to that term, but it's, yeah, he was a very sensitive man. And I just remember we're watching the movie, and the part where the girl she kicks the bag out and trips him and he falls. Like, I've never really experienced this in a movie theater, but a lot of people started like clapping.
Oh,
And I was
really?
like, that's crazy. And he like got up a little bit and was like, shut up. Like basically telling people to like shut the fuck up. Like, why are you clapping in a movie?
What?
And I just remember looking at this guy being like, what the fuck is, and all of us were just kind of like, what is wrong with you, guy? And like, it was just such a random part. So every time I
What?
think of this movie, I think of this guy standing up in a crowded theater. We're like in the fucking middle. There's probably a dozen of us in the middle of a crowded theater, like pointing at people, telling them to like cut it out and shut up and stuff. And it was like, good God, like
Oh
what
my god.
this is the same kid. Like a year later, one of the teachers had like a vacation house, and like the senior students would come and stay for like a weekend and hang. He was a very, very nice guy. He was like my psychology teacher. I love the guy. And a couple of the kids brought beer, like a 6-pack, and they just hung out and drank a couple of beers. And that kid went home and told his parents. And I was like,
Of
good
course.
God, man,
Of course.
you're like, you may not be like, I don't like being like, oh, you're a pussy, but I'm like, dude, you're a fucking bitch. Like, you're a bitch, dude. But yeah, he was just a very sensitive guy. And I just remember, so he has kind of ruined this movie for me, but I still really enjoy this. Just thinking about like the first time seeing it and how old I was, and my kind of like Sin City had just come out, I think, in like '05 or it was about to come out. And I don't remember
Oh,
when
so
Sin City came out.
you were a cool kid thinking doing adult shit.
Oh yeah,
Right.
do do down down do do down
You were
do do
beating
do.
your mate to Jessica Alba.
Nah, Brittany Murphy.
Ah, okay. All right. Well,
I'm a man of taste.
yeah.
But
Some say even to this day you're beating your mate.
Yes, I'm saying even to
That's
this day.
dark. That's
Yeah,
dark.
Jesus
That's really
Christ.
dark.
That's
God.
pretty fucked up. But yeah, I remember really enjoying this, but I have probably not seen this in fucking 18 years. But I still remembered a lot of it. I remember Brian Cox. I remember the general plot. It is very hard to forget the pin to the throat. That's like the
Oh
leg
yeah.
snap from Misery. You know, like it's not as graphic, but to me it's up there with just like burning into my memory. You know, of violent shit and thriller. And you know what? I like the fact that this movie kind of toes the line between that of just like a thriller movie. It's also kind of writing weirdly on like on like 9/11 terror stuff. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of weirdly rides the
Well, it's
coattails of
kind of
that.
ballsy, right? I mean, 4 years
Yeah,
after 9/11, right?
yeah, that's kind of I was like, whoa, this was like '05. Like this
They
was
make it
being
very clear he's not hijacking the plane, or
right.
yeah.
Well, and the fact that all the stuff, the fact that to make like a plane thriller, even a few years after, is like, well, I guess this was kind of like eventually somebody's going to start making movies like this,
Well,
and this is
Flight
just,
Plan with Jodie Foster was
Mhm.
also this year, 2005.
That's right. I've never seen that, but I remember the general idea of the movie.
That's fine.
It's fine. You don't have to remember. But yeah, I remember really enjoying this, but I haven't seen it in so long. So I really just wanted to use this kind of as an excuse to see the movie again.
Yeah.
Because I think we have it here on HBO. The HBO app is so bad. I rented it on YouTube and decided to watch it on there instead.
Oh, I bought this for $4.99.
Oh, nice. I rented it for $2.99. God damn it.
Well, it's a much better deal than what I paid for Devil's Advocate, which we still have yet to record, which is $14.99. So,
Jesus Christ. Why did you pay for that?
because I didn't want to rent it, because I knew it'll take me a while to watch it, and so I was like,
Good
so
Lord. Anyways.
I'm going to be straight up honest with you, and I'm sorry, listeners, but this is revealing how lazy I am. But Steph and I watched this a couple months back, and I
Mhm.
didn't bother rewatching it for this episode because it's
Totally
still in my
fine.
mind. It's still in my mind.
I can't say I've never done that before. Where I'm like, no, I actually have a pretty damn good memory. So like the fact that I hadn't seen this in 18 years, and I remember the throat stab, Brian Cox, them eating at a Tex-Mex restaurant. I remember
The soap on the mirror. You remember that?
No, I did not.
Okay.
That's what's kind of fun is it was like I was playing kind of like, ooh, what's behind this door? Like with myself.
Yeah.
Like I know this is good, but I just what spots I can't remember. But
I could have sworn. This is how terrible my memory is. I could have sworn Lynn Shay was in this movie, but she's not. She's in Snakes on a Plane.
There you go. Never seen that.
You've never seen Snakes on a Plane? Okay, look, it's a terrible movie, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I had a history teacher. I remember us talking about this movie, and he goes, "Snakes on a Plane. What a fucking stupid idea." He's like, "Why don't you just turn the thermostat down on the plane and they all go to sleep?" I just died. I remember falling out of my seat laughing. I was like, "That's hilarious." But no snakes on these planes. Just the only snake on here is Cillian Murphy. Because we're gonna jump right into this shit. Unless you got anything else.
No. I just posted that poster that I was talking about in the after party. It's not Rachel McAdams' face. It's just the outside shot of like the windows of the plane window, and it's just like a hand, like her hand against the window, and it just says Red Eye, and it's just like that was the poster that got me intrigued. I was like, what the fuck is that? I want to watch that.
Whoa, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, Red Eye. Let's jump into it. My first note: holy shit, these credits look like they were finished in iMovie.
Yes. Like, dude, even to like stock like iMovie music.
I was watching. I was like, wow, this is like surprise for $24 million.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man.
And that's $24 million in 05 money.
Right.
That's like $88 million today.
That's like $700 million now.
Yeah, that is it's astonishing. Like watching the credits, it's like, man, that must have been something. Somebody's like, listen, it's my weekend with my kid. I gotta get this fucking thing done. Just here, come on.
Look,
do you know how to
man,
spell Marco Beltrami?
My laptop's running out of RAM. I gotta get this out. I
got a free trial of this shit. Everybody's talking about it. It's 2005.
Right.
Fall Out Boy is still popular. Panic at the Disco is taking over.
Yeah. Where were you in
But
2005? You.
I was a sophomore in high school.
What is that?
2005, year 10 out of
Okay.
12.
Okay. I was in sixth grade.
Mm. There you go. Yeah. Because, I got a summer birthday. So I was always like 13 in high school. I was really young.
Mm.
Like I graduated when I was 17. But yeah, oh
Also,
five, man, great year.
this is at that age in sixth grade. This is as far as horror kind of went for me, like in terms of intensity.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until the next year, the seventh grade, where I kind of like befriended someone and he introduced me to more violent shit. Like that was when I discovered House of Wax and
Right.
the more fucked up horror.
Yeah, the good shit.
The good
Um,
shit, yeah. Well, maybe not House of Wax, but yeah.
yeah. But yeah, these credits are absolutely hilarious. Let me see here.
Hilarious is the word you use. I love it.
Yeah, we see Lisa Reisert is a smart and compassionate workaholic who loves her dad. Her flight's delayed to Miami, and she meets Jackson Ripner. We can kind of just take this section as like a whole, because this movie does like have a lot of time on its hands. Like it not saying that like I dislike it, but it's definitely got like a lot of I don't know. Like not a lot at the beginning. It seems like there's a good chunk of filler. You know
Well,
what I mean?
okay, there is a lot of filler, but this is some of my favorite stuff in this movie, and the trailer was set up the same way. I love the way this movie's structured because it's structured like a romantic comedy, like a meet
Yeah.
cute sort of situation,
Mm-hmm.
and that is genius. Like that whole kind of like you thought when you sat if you watch this movie blindly, you don't know what you're going in for, and then it's like, oh fuck, this is a romantic comedy. Are you serious? And the thing of it is, these two actually have good chemistry. I
Very
think
good
the
chemistry.
sea breeze stuff, like or bay breeze, whatever. Like
Yeah. No,
I'm
you're
pulling
right.
that from memory from like 2
No,
months
you're
ago.
right.
But
You're right. You're right.
yep, yeah, I dig their chemistry, and it's kind of a little like it's like unfortunately he's a hitman. Sorry,
Right. Yeah. She was a busy woman. He was a murderer.
right?
Yeah. Because it definitely feels like it could be one of those, like Mrs. Doubtfire when they recut the trailer to look like a horror movie, and it's like him staring at the window at Pierce Brosnan. It's fucking hilarious.
The recontextualization.
Yeah.
Also, we real quick, we went past Cynthia back at the hotel
Oh
with these
no. Yeah.
two.
We can take this whole
Oh,
chunk,
sure,
just
sure, sure.
her up until
Yep,
meeting Jackson Ripner.
brilliant.
Yeah. Because I actually really like Cynthia a lot. Like she's a great supporting character
I
and
like it
great
too.
comic relief for the movie. You know, there's
Dude,
a very female centric kind of movie.
oh, I like it a lot, man. Like Cynthia's, I never forget Cynthia's reaction to when she finds out that that someone's going to do something to the Keefes, and she's just like she hangs up. She's like shit, shit,
Yeah.
shit.
And she's got those huge eyes, you know,
Right,
like she's born for these like comedic little parts.
right.
Um, and yeah.
She's with these two fucking shit kicker fucking
Oh my
customers, dude.
God. There was always somebody like this in
Oh,
every,
always,
yeah.
always
So, they come into
entitled,
the restaurant, they order off menu, and it's like, God, Jesus Christ. It's like,
entitled. Yeah, don't
I
you know us? We're
yeah,
regulars.
literally had a guy every Sunday who showed up and had this salad that had all this fancy shit that was not on the menu. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, just fucking make that shit at home. Bring in your own food at
Right.
that point. Just
Just
bring in your
choke
own
on the
fucking
salad,
food.
maybe.
Yeah, dude, it was so fun. And he would send the shit back, you know, because it was hella expensive. It was like a $30 salad because he was putting all like avocado and all these different sides. It was fucking ridiculous. Um,
I have the gabagool. If it's on
oh,
top, I send it
gabagool.
back.
Oh, that's over. That's a gabagool. I gotta finish that. Anyways, we're introduced to a lot of good characters besides Cynthia too. We meet the woman that's in line with her. This woman is in a ton of movies. I think she's in Joe Dirt. I think I remember her from. She's the one who sells Joe Dirt the car. She's
I've
like,
never seen it.
I pushed my husband. She's in the movie. She's like, oh yeah, I'm selling my husband's car. He died. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. She's like, don't be. I pushed him into a wood chipper. It's like, holy fuck. She's hilarious in Joe Dirt. And she kind of befriends her in line. She gives her the Dr. Phil book. Dr. Phil, absolutely massive at the time, which I guess he's still kind of is.
Yeah,
Somewhat.
still is.
Not as much, I don't think.
Hmm.
Did you
He
ever
was on
watch Mad
Rogan
TV?
recently.
Oh God. Do you ever watch Mad TV back in the day? Ugh.
Ugh, Joe Rogan. Ugh.
Oh no, Joe Rogan, but just I don't like Dr. Phil. He's kind of a
Oh, right,
annoying.
okay.
Joe Rogan, I always say, yeah, I don't love Joe Rogan, but I like the conversations he has and the guests he brings on.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you bring on Dr. Phil, I'm just like, well, I'm getting fucked at both ends of this thing, aren't I?
I mean, I haven't heard the episode, but like John Bernthal was on Rogan not long ago.
I'm down for that.
I like that episode. That was good.
Joe, have you ever tried DMT, Joe?
James, pull that shit up. It's not Jamie.
He would call him James.
James, pull that shit up.
Jameson?
One of my favorite, actually, you know what? If we are talking Dr. Phil, one of my favorite Dr. Phil moments. I'm not a big Dr. Phil watcher. I don't think I've ever seen an episode, but Scary Movie 4, the opening with Shaq, and it's just Shaq wakes up in like the bathroom from Saw, and
I've seen this.
It's literally just Shaq and Dr. Phil in this room, like again from Saw, and. so sorry, I can barely get this out. Shaq wakes up, it's pitch black, he hears a noise in the background, and he's like, who's that? Kobe? You just hear out of the darkness, you're not dead, you've just been taken against your will. It's fucking Dr. Phil chained to a fucking thing.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's too bad just leave him there. I just said Dr. Phil he gave rise to the Catch Me Outside. How about that?
Oh yeah.
Without him, like you gave birth to that. You have to remain accountable for that shit. No, I'm just kidding.
you must be personally.
Yeah, you must be accountable for platforming this person.
Yes.
But yeah, we do have a really cool.
She's got an OnlyFans, by the way.
Oh, really? Good God, how old is she?
She's old now. She's a rapper. She's got like a name. I can't remember. Hold on, I'm gonna look her up. You keep talking.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, they have a meet cute. They have this really interesting kind of interaction where we see that Jackson can be kind of like threatening, like he can kind of ruffle the feathers and even Wes Craven said that it was Cillian Murphy's eyes, and that Cillian Murphy wanted this part so bad he flew out to California, and it was like days before his wedding, flew out there, and Wes Craven's like, man, it's just something in his eyes, the way he looked at me. I was like, nah, he's perfect for this.
I love it, man. Especially like there's a moment here when he confronts that guy who's going off at the not a flight attendant, but just the person who works there about the delay, and he kind of like grabs him and he stares at him deep in his eyes, and it's just like, oh man, piercing look.
Absolutely.
So Cash Me Outside girl's name is Bad Baby, Bhabie. She's 19, and she does not look the way that she's obviously had like insane work done, which is crazy. But anyway, sorry, Dr. Phil, you are accountable for this.
Yeah, 100%. But now but yeah, like we said, they kind of have this interesting
50. Sorry.
No, hit me.
Made 50 million from OnlyFans.
Wow. I mean, I'd do it.
No.
You kidding me? Oh, here's a picture of my fucking butthole and my tits to give me 50 million. Yeah, okay, I'm down. You kidding me?
Yeah.
$50 million?
50 mil.
Yeah. And then never. And the thing is, she's 19. In 25 years, no one will ever hear from her ever again. She fades into obscurity. She's still got $50 million, and nobody remembers that shit.
No, she spends that shit, dude. She's gonna be broke by the time she turns 25.
Yeah, that's true. If you gave me at 19 $50 million, I'd do the same thing. But anyways, like I said, they have this really interesting meet cute in the middle of this. It's like they have a meet cute in the middle of misery. Like it's
Right.
this weird kind of Which, speaking of which, I think they do the same thing with Misery. They cut that trailer to look like a rom com. It's really really
It's
odd.
brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, but we get a sense, it's Jackson Ripner's kind of save the cat moment. He's the one who steps in. It's like, hey, buddy, you don't talk to her like that. We
Hmm.
immediately relate to that guy. We immediately like that guy, and
We
it
trust
is
him.
right, and it just even more layers like to the deception.
What do you think
And
about the name Jackson Ripner?
I hate it. It's almost up there with Memphis Reigns.
Yeah, look, I don't hate it as much because they acknowledge it. Like
Yeah,
it's in
and
the
obviously it's
script.
a fake fucking name.
It is a fake name, because her father, Jack Riser, right, whatever,
Jason, yeah, Riser.
has the same initials, right? So he has a reason to be carrying around that wallet.
Ah, that's interesting. I never even caught that. Yeah,
I
her
picked
dad
that
had the
up
same
today.
initials.
Yeah.
That's cool. But yeah, I enjoy all of this kind of I guess like preamble for lack of a better word. We kind of get like our setup. The planes have been delayed. Obviously everybody's frustrated. This makes me. I've never been on a plane. It's not helping. It's not helping get me on a plane.
You've never
Anytime I
been
see
on a plane?
no. Anytime I see this shit, like I've driven 14 hours to places.
Yeah.
I did not want to get on a plane. It's like
I
I
think
don't
we've
want to
chatted
do it.
about this. We've definitely talked about this because, yeah, I think it blew my mind last time as well when I found out that you've never been on a plane, and you got to travel, dude. You've never wanted to see another country?
No, I do. I just I'm not afraid of flying. I just don't want to be on a plane with a shit ton of other people. Like
I
I
get
don't
you.
think I would handle really. I would need to be drugged. Like
Well,
it's not me, it's them. Like
the good thing about being in America is that you're relatively close to other countries, whereas in Australia you're on a
yeah,
giant
right,
island
yeah.
and you got to fucking fly, dude.
You're closer to Antarctica.
Right, 15 hours for me to get to LA. Like,
Jeez,
um,
I think from Tennessee it's like 24 hours to Sydney.
I think that's right. Yeah,
Jesus Christ. That's crazy. That
yeah.
makes me want to throw up. Like I think about it sometimes like, dude, it'd be cool to go to Australia and then I want to like throw up. I'm like, that
It's
makes me
tough,
sick.
man. I mean, look, especially for a big guy, because it fucks up your back. Like the seats,
Oh
on
yeah.
those things are not. I mean, obviously, I don't fly fucking first class or business, but they fuck up your back pretty well. So,
That's what I'm saying. Like if I'm going, man, I'm
and the
going
worst
first
thing is
class.
when you get a cunt in front of you reclining his seat right into your fucking knee. And
Oh,
I will never forget, dude, my entire flight from Dubai to Sydney. It's a long ass flight. This guy like reclined in front of me, and I was just like, this should not be allowed to happen. So I fucking dug my knee into the back of his like seat to force it, like to
yeah.
force the recline. Like I'm just like, yeah, you're not doing this, bitch.
Yeah. Did he eventually move?
No, well, he can't move, right? I mean, it was pretty, yeah. So I was like, you know what? You're not reclining into me, you motherfucker. My fucking stomach is basically touching the tray. Come on.
Oh yeah, some of those people are so fucking inconsiderate. And that's what I'm saying. Like it's not helping put me on a plane. I think I'd much rather drive and like get the scenic kind of view of shit.
Right.
Can't drive to
Well,
Australia though.
so for work, I had to fly to Canberra. So Sydney to Canberra is a 3 hour drive, which
Mhm.
I would very much prefer than flying because it takes me a while to catch a train to the
Right.
airport and then fly. I'd very
Yeah.
much rather drive, but work is like, oh, it's an insurance thing. We need you to fly. I was like, fuck, fine, whatever. It's an hour flight. It's like, no, it's not even an hour flight. It's like a 45-minute flight. And I
That's
hate
so
it.
weird.
I hate it. I hate it because they're fucking tiny ass propeller planes.
That's
And it's the
so
worst.
strange. Going
It's the
for an
worst.
hour long flight. Like that's so odd.
It's the worst.
Uh
I'd very much rather drive. And when I get to Canberra, I need to fucking Uber it everywhere. If I had my car, just no need to worry about an Uber. Just drive
yeah.
around.
It's like I know people that drive an hour and a half to work, and it's like somebody like
Ugh.
Jesus. But yeah, we get our interesting kind of setup. We've got a nice little kind of meet cute. We see what's going on between them. She kind of talks about her dad. She talks about her grandmother's passed away. That's why she's here. Like you said, he guesses the sea breeze or the drinks. And then they have getting the announcement. Hey, your plane's ready. Everybody takes off. Think this is pretty much the end. They go their separate ways. And they blah blah blah. As fate would have it, the two are actually seated right next to each other, and the conversation continues. But it takes a pretty sharp turn. Pretty quickly. I feel like our butts don't even have the seats for him yet, and I think once the plane is actually off the ground, is when he hits her with the pitch. I'm pretty sure.
When pretty much at the point when she cannot do anything about it is when he does it. So. By the way, I looked it up. 20 minutes is when we take off, right? At the 20-minute mark. And then we get off the plane at the hour mark. So we're actually only in the air for about 40 minutes.
Yeah, right. It's interesting how they split their time up like that. It's like 40 minutes on the ground and 40 minutes in the air. So the movie's basically an hour and 20 minutes long.
Right. I do have a clip because I like his pitch and I like the moment of realization. I think it's actually very realistic. Like the way she's like, she's like, no, you're not telling the truth. Like this is set up. So I'm just going to play this. This is 2 minutes long.
And you're right, most days it is my own business. But right now, as fate would have it, my business is all about you.
I'm sorry about me.
That's right.
Okay, I'm not sure where you're going with this.
Charles Keefe, one of your regular VIPs, ring a bell?
That'd be so terrifying, by the way.
Yeah.
No,
Guy
meet
next to
somebody
you.
Yes, it should.
extremely
Right now,
all your
he's at
business.
your hotel, and that's why you need to keep listening.
No, I don't think I don't have to do that.
Yes, you do, if you want your dad to live.
I'd be like, what?
What?
Sorry?
You heard me. Sue yourself, but you might want to take a look at this first.
That's the wallet.
Joe Rice, your father, yes?
Where did you get that?
Oh, I didn't get it. My associate grabbed it off your dad's desk, apparently next to your graduation picture. JR. Definitely Dad's wallet, his initials. But gee, mine too. Jack Rippner, credit card, license. But for some reason,
Fuck, we're idiots. It's in the dialogue.
Yeah, got it, moron.
Never met before tonight. Suddenly went crazy when I took it out of my pocket. You tell the flight attendant, and your dad dies. Sit down.
Got some Inception vibes going on.
This sounds like Marco Beltrami, the Scream guy.
You might want to buckle up.
Oop, that's the clip.
That's the whole clip. I knew that sound as soon as it started playing.
God damn it!
I know what that is.
Yes, I nailed it. It is Marco Beltrami. Yeah, look, he's done better scores. One of my favorite scores of his is Logan.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
God, movies I wish we could redo. I love Logan. Yeah, this is where they basically kind of, like I said, their conversation continues a little bit more, and he basically drops the bomb on her. Yeah, I'm here to make a long story short. I need you to change a room for a certain Secretary of Defense. Basically he's a co-conspirator, I guess. And it for a second there, I was like, man, I forgot this plot's a little convoluted for a second. And I was like, so she has to move the room so they can kill people. And I was like, yeah, but you know what? That's how I feel like a co-conspiracy would probably be.
Sure.
It's not, I'm not going to be nitpicky.
I do like the again the build up for this movie really works for me. Like just the coincidences, like him being like, I'm sitting right next to you. Oh, like like it's all this like little touches of like,
I killed your grandmother. Oh.
Oh, I was there at the moment of your birth.
Mm-hmm. I was the one who had caused your parents' divorce.
Right. Yeah.
But he lays it out. He's a co-conspirator in a plot to kill Charles Keefe, Secretary of Defense. Ripper lays it out as Keefe's room. If Keefe's room isn't changed, her father is going to die. Like I said in that great clip, went right over our heads. That basically, and which does kind of make me like, I love it because we have a name for him, but we know it's not his real name, and it's like, what is your real name? Like, who are you? And I love the movie never really kind of drops that on us. After
But
some
also, just
oh,
as
sorry.
as a 12-year-old, the name Jackson Ripner is terrifying.
Yeah, I know it's definitely got some, like, I love that they, like you said, they kind of like have a joke about it, but at the same time, it is kind of like, okay, gotcha, you're being a little cute, being a little cutesy cute. Um, and I also kind of want to go over the people that are on the plane with us because they will play a little bit. Everybody plays a little bit of a role. We have Dr. Phil Lady. We have Jake and Logan Paul. We also have Greta Thunberg. And I think the two flight attendants. But yeah, basically, and every one of them kind of play a role in this.
One of the Jake and Logan Paul guys, the guy without the headphones, his brother, is an actor named Kyle Goldner.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in a few things. Most recently, he was in the Scream movie, Scream 5, and Smile, the big horror movie.
Was he in Freddy vs. Jason?
Let me have a look.
Isn't he the guy that gets cut in half, like on his porch with his dad or something?
No, he is not in Freddy vs. Jason.
Never mind. There's just a rash of like white guys.
The Haunting in Connecticut, Jennifer's Body. Oh, he was. Oh, dude, this was it. You got the wrong franchise, son. He was in Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
Oh, never mind. Ugh.
Yeah.
But God, let's talk about a good movie, Zohab. Sorry, that movie's fucking awful. That is terrible.
It's awful. Man. I think it's fine.
It's pretty fucking bad. I think it's
fine.
Bad.
It's all right.
Jesus Christ.
The one and only that movie that guy directed. It's fine.
Thank God. But he kind of and also like
Stop
leading up to
spoiling our green room episode, Colin. Jesus Christ. Okay, you think these fucking freeloaders are gonna deserve to be, told that kind of?
I love the one person that's like, well, I was going to join just for that one episode, but fuck it.
Dude, can you imagine someone reaches out to us and is just like, yeah, that I was going to join that green room feed. There's so many, 60-something episodes, but I want to listen to that one episode where they covered the 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street remake directed by Samuel Bayer.
Obviously, the much superior film.
Obviously. Don't want to watch that movie directed by that hack, Wes Craven.
Yeah. But I like this kind of conversation they have as the plane is going up. Like we said, he waits until he gets her off the ground before he kind of drops the bomb on her. And he kind of talks just small talk, trying to get her mind off of the turbulence and stuff. And he's just great. He's a great salesman. He sells this all the way through and through. And then once they get in the air, she's like, why don't you just tell me what you do? He's like, I did. And that's where the moment kind of like, okay, I don't really know what's going on. And I think she plays that. That is a moment that is kind of hard to pull off in a lot of movies, because the movie is making this weird turn right now, and the whole movie relies on two performances sitting next to each other. Yes. And if they don't work, the turn doesn't work. It just doesn't work out at all. And it all takes place basically in what, a couple of hours. Misery, we have the the comfort of like there's days and nights and people come and go and stuff, and it's like this, it's a much more shorter time frame. But what I do love is that little girl that's on the flight. She has some hilarious bloopers for this movie.
Oh, does she?
Dude, they have one. I
did say that there were bloopers on YouTube. Yeah.
It's hilarious. Like, Rachel McAdams is waiting at the bathroom door, and the little girl walks out and she goes, "Hey, is this guy bothering you? Because I will drop him in a New York minute." And it's
that's great.
She is fucking fun. The mom's like, "Are you ready to go on the flight?" She's like, "Oh, I don't know, Mom. Gee, am I ready?" And she's like being a total cunt. It's really, really awesome. Funny. Surprising movie to have like bloopers, like a gag reel for it. You don't really see that in a lot of horror movies.
No, they don't. But I do love, especially for serious films, or serious TV shows, I love seeing them. So like Game of Thrones has some great bloopers because the show's so serious. Mm-hmm. It's fun to watch the cast kind of like interact with each other. But the one thing that I wanted to mention, like you said, at this point the movie's, it's at a sort of like a crossroads, and it's becoming something else. it's not this light romantic airy comedy that we were led to believe. It's something a bit more darker and more sinister. And this is such a testament to Wes Craven's directing ability. Is the extreme close ups on
Mhm.
Killian Murphy's face as he's kind of like telling these instructions to her, right? One simple phone call saves your dad's life. It's unsettling because he fills the entire frame with his face. It's so unsettling.
Right, yeah, and I think the entire twist here relies on the one line. No, I don't have to do that. Well, yes, you do if you want your dad to live. And it's just like, okay, now everything's been kind of laid out. We see the wallet. He says, hey, what am I going to do? Tell them that some inebriated girl wanted to take the wallet from me. Basically, everything we talked about in that clip. And Cillian Murphy, again, I just get such Inception vibe from this movie. Him being on a plane the whole time, like everything kind of taking place on the plane.
By the way, I cannot wait for Oppenheimer. Cannot wait for
Oh
Oppenheimer.
yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot that's coming out. Cillian Murphy, man. I again somehow everybody knows him, but again somehow underrated.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it. I obviously I don't know because he's not like when they said he auditioned for Batman Begins, but he auditioned for Batman. I was like, that's so off. Like that's so wrong. I was like, he's amazing, Jonathan Crane. He's
Perfect
amazing.
Scarecrow.
28 Days Later. He's amazing in Peaky Blinders.
I've never seen anything of his that I've just been like, yeah, he wasn't good. Even
Quiet
like
Place
in
2,
Dunkirk,
like-
when he's playing kind of like a scared soldier who doesn't want to go back to the island. It's I sincerely hope that Oppenheimer is his big his statement, like his big leading man role.
Mhm.
Like, look at me, here I am. This is what I can do. Give me the Oscars. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, absolutely. I adore the guy. I think he's just such a powerhouse of an actor. Nearly had fucking everything. I
Have you
always think of
seen Peaky
Peaky
Blinders?
I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Mhm.
I've seen a couple episodes, and
I've seen the first season.
I've watched a lot of random YouTube clips that pop up in my YouTube shorts, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's weird.
I think I'll go back and finish it because I did enjoy that first season, and they do introduce like Sam Neill as like the antagonist, and I'm like, oh, this
Oh,
is
cool.
interesting.
That's awesome.
People who've seen
Um,
Peaky Blinders are just laughing at me because they're like, oh yeah, Sam Neill dies in the next season. I was like, oh, okay. I don't even know that, by the way. That's just a guess.
But after he lays it out, there's some back and forth. She's like, what's going on? Why are you doing this? He says, listen, I need you to change this guy's room. And that is one thing that I like is that it is dialogue heavy, and the dialogue does take up a lot of time, but it feels natural. Like she raises like genuine concerns and questions and things that seem like realistic to me. Like before she does anything, she's like, I want to talk to my dad now. And it's like, well, I'm not doing anything until I find out my dad's alive. And she's right because she's kind of got all the cards right now. She's the one that has to make the call. Which it's like, why don't you just find somebody that sounds like her and then just shoot her in the back of the head? No, I'm just kidding. They're like, listen, we can get you a coach ticket. He's like, God, why doesn't this bitch fly fucking first class? God damn it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point. Brian Cox.
Brian Cox. Love Brian Cox. Absolutely
Brian
great.
Cox. Love me some Cox, man.
Love B Cox.
Yeah, my introduction to him was X-Men 2, right? I mean,
Me
Colonel
too.
William Stryker. Yeah.
Yeah, that and Super Troopers.
Yeah. And then he, started popping up in everything else, and he's amazing in Manhunter as Lecter.
Oh my God, Zodiac.
Zodiac. Wait, he's in Zodiac?
He is Marvin Belli.
That's right. He's got that one scene.
Part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very small part.
But without a doubt, the best thing I've ever seen him in is Succession. There's no competition, man. Like Logan Roy. Oh man, just
never
such
trust
a great
guy with two first names.
Yeah, exactly right. Just a great character, and so complicated and such a enigma. And I think, man, like Brian Cox continues in that show to show why he's such a powerhouse, man. But he's good in this. I think he's a little wasted. It's like you didn't really need Brian Cox for this role, right?
No, not at all. But I definitely think it helps kind of like flesh out the movie with a comforting face. You know, if it were just some unknown, some random guy, like, oh, okay, whatever.
Is he in? He's in Born Supremacy, right?
I don't know. I've never seen those before.
You've never seen the Bourne movies?
No, never seen them.
You got to check them out. Like they're really good. Like I have considered covering one of them.
I'm really bad about watching action movies. I'm really
Yeah,
bad.
that's fair.
I'm
fair.
terrible at watching action movies.
They are very action heavy, but it's very clever action. I think.
I've heard they're like a good like Casino Royale kind of companion. You know,
Absolutely,
Cool.
yes, because you know the Casino Royale by the time that came out, Bourne was massive thing. But yeah,
gotcha. But she gets dad on the phone. Dad says he's okay. You know, and he basically hangs up immediately. He's like, "Listen, you know, we've got to make this phone call. We've got to make it now." But you know, things don't quite go as planned. She ends up getting fucking headbutted, which was insane. Holy shit. She ends up going into a coma for like 48 minutes. He's like, "You've been out for half an hour." And I'm like, she has brain bleed. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, I'm amazed she's even talking as she wakes back up.
She's got like CTE. She's got, God, what was that football player who?
Aaron Hernandez.
No. The football player who just fainted like last week.
His was like cardiac arrest. That shit was awful, man. Yeah, that shit was like I
was insane.
I didn't see it, thank God. Like I've just heard about it, but like holy shit, man. You know, you think football injuries, you think CTE, you know, but it's crazy to think like getting hit so hard you go into cardiac arrest. It's like fuck,
dude. I watched it, like just him making that tackle, and it was him making the tackle, like it was not him being tackled, and it was perfect. It was a great tackle. He gets up and then just like falls backwards. It's insane.
That sucks, man. Basically, she ends up passing off the note to the woman from Joe Dirt, as I'm going to call her. No, the Dr. Phil lady. And you kind of think, oh shit, okay, she got it. She's made a message. She like we'll end up getting everything kind of shut down. Yeah, the woman walks off, and I loved it. He didn't even look at her. He just, I'm going to have to assume she reads that. And the best part is later on when she wakes up, she kind of looks back at the woman, and the woman is just like knocked out. And it's like, you don't even have to see what happened to know. Like he just ran over there and was like, shot her with like a blow dart.
He's got like a Javitos from fucking Indiana Jones, like blown up.
Yeah, he pulls out like the tread of his like shoes, and it has like a little blow dart in there.
That's great. That's brilliant.
When she wakes up, he says, "Hey, I need you coherent. I've got you some aspirin. I need you to make some phone calls." Let me see here. Let me pull my notes up real quick. But the call falls mid-flight. This is interesting. I like the way that this turned. It was kind of like not something she did, but something that she uses to her advantage. Like,
yes.
That's one thing about Lisa is I feel like she is the type of physical fighter that's like would kick you in the nuts and scratch your eyes out and would like you take every advantage. Like, not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying like this is not somebody to.
No, fight me like a man. Don't go for my nods.
Yeah, well, she whatever the weakness is, I feel like she's going to exploit it or take advantage of any kind of situation that plays in her favor. You know.
But I also like that the script kind of includes a problem that she did not create.
Right.
You know, like this is something that Jack did not consider, but he's just going to have to make do. But I really dig that, like that there's an issue here that she did not create and he did not consider it. But it is it's pretty credible. It's a credible.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that could go wrong, you know.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I love the fact that she's like, oh yeah, I'll just fake the call, but of course he's like, yeah, once I get confirmation he's dead, I'll let you go. And it's like, oh fuck, right. She wasn't really thinking about that. All right, let me see here.
But like, yeah, also, yeah, I love like him like her pretending
Right.
that it's
Her
working,
pretend-
and then he looks around, and someone's tapping their phone, and he's just like, oh yeah.
Hi, Cynthia, and he's
Yeah.
like shaking his head. Of course, she ends up trying to fake the call. It doesn't work. We get a little bit of a check-in on Brian Cox. He starts seeing the BMW parked outside of his house. And this is where she finally she says, listen, the phones are down. At least let me go use the bathroom. And I need my purse. He's like, okay, I'll trust you. And she's like, and my purse. Like, I don't trust you that much. That's a really, really good line. But again, I don't see, that's what I don't ever understand about kidnapping in movies. When they're like, I need to use the bathroom. I'm like, I don't care. Piss and shit yourself. It's not going to bother me. Like, I'm kidnapping you. You're not going to be comfortable. Like, you're lucky I'm not pistol whipping you. I would expect to like get the shit beat out of me when I'm being kidnapped,
But I think in this situation, it'll still draw attention to her, which he does not want.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, some hot girl shits her pants. It's a weird juxtaposition.
Right. People are going to be like, why are you sitting in your own urine?
Yeah. Hey, there's a lady crying and sitting in her own pile of shit. Something
The
going on
old
here,
lady
guy.
with the Dr. Phil book comes around, and she's like, "Excuse me, did you eat asparagus? Like, what is something?"
Did you take a bite out of one of these pages, honey? And there's like teeth marks in it. But she fakes needing to go to the restroom. Again, we get a little bit of our supporting character from the little girl giving Cillian Murphy the stink eye. I really love that. But Lisa, she ain't no scrub. She gets to work. She tries to drop off the message. What is it? F-18 has a bomb. She's clever, extremely clever. But unfortunately, he ends up he's the one that comes to the door, which is what sucks. But
one of those flights.
Yeah. That's so good. 18F has a bomb. Cillian Murphy knocked out Rachel McAdams doing this apparently.
I believe
by accident.
He's pretty. I mean, he's pretty aggressive with her.
Yeah. I would feel very uncomfortable just because of I'm 6'3" and like 270 pounds. And I would just be like, I would be afraid. I would not like, oh, I don't know my own strength. I'm so strong. But I had older brothers. We wrestled a lot. So like some people, it's, the scale is different. And I'd be too afraid. I'd take somebody a little bit too far with that.
I'm trying to picture you taking a shit in one of these little rooms, man. That's insane.
Jesus. That's another thing, man. Like, God, I'd rather get an RV and park it on a ferry and take a ferry to Australia. Like, fuck it.
You'd need to get them to extend the plane.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, absolutely. Be like, hey, where does Shaq take a shit when he rides on one of these things?
Shaq has an Airbus A380. It's like he uses his own plane.
Yeah, God, that's got to be nice. But again, she's foiled by the Ripper. Her message does not get out. Lisa, let me see here. I'm sorry, I got lost in my notes. Let me see. We also see the scar on her chest, which is set up for something later on, which we can get into like at the end of the film as it kind of reveals that. But this is unwanted attention that Ripner says, when they get back to their seats, he's like, hey, we got to chill out here for a second. Once they make their rounds, then we'll make the call. The phones are back online now. And I love when he walks out and that woman's like, hey, this isn't a hotel. And he's like, sure. And just walks off. We get the kid dropping his pen. I think that's kind of cool. Again, there's a lot of setup and payoff, and this is very interesting. Again, Lisa just really uses a lot of this stuff to her advantage, anything that she's got. But eventually she's forced to make the call. About halfway through the movie, really, she's forced to make the call. Cynthia answers. She's like, hey, I've got to change the room. Just tell them I authorized it. When I get confirmation, that everything's okay, we'll let your dad go. Because obviously that's the first thing she says when she gets off the phone. What's going on with my dad? And we learn, well, not that simple. We got to get on the ground first before I call this guy off. And he's not going to go a moment too soon. But he lets it slip that it's not just Keefe, but it's Keefe and his family, which is a bit of a revelation. It's interesting.
It's a nice little twist. because that changes things, right? I mean, there are innocents here, and you can be angry at the decisions made by the Secretary of Defense, but wife and kids. I mean, come on,
Right. Even Scarface had limits,
right? Well,
Um,
I mean,
I mean,
what?
technically, he gets killed for him. That's like what his downfall begins when they got to. It's this situation. They got to blow up a politician, and his kids are in the car, and he's like, "No, I won't do it," and it ends up kind of being his downfall. I'm like, that's somewhat commendable, honestly. Like that's kind of interesting. That's in the end, that's really what got him.
Can we call him Chief Keefe?
Who's Chief Keef?
He's a rapper. You haven't heard of Chief Keef?
I have not.
Oh, okay.
Chief Keef.
He's a rapper.
Sorry. I am out of the loop on rap. I'm really bad about listening to rap.
Oh, look, I'm not a big rap guy, but I've heard of Chief Keef. One of the lines that I really like in this movie is when Jack's talking about the guy who's outside Brian Cox's place, and he's like, he's a good dog. He listens to his master. Like, I was
Jesus
like, yeah,
Christ.
it's a great line.
Yeah, it's dark. We see Lisa. She's packing that monster pin. Apparently, it was going to be Bart Simpson until they couldn't get the rights, which is
no
really?
way. That's cool.
That's crazy. $24 million still couldn't get the rights. Whatever.
26. Yeah, insane.
That's nuts. And our flight is basically.
I seriously think this is a money laundering operation. Because
dude, what the fuck?
Like, how? It looks. Okay, look, it looks a little cheap. Sorry, Wes. Rest in peace. I love you, but
no, it definitely does.
Cheap.
Like it's a great movie, but there's definitely moments of it that feel a little, a little low budget. But that's just kind of, I don't know. At this time, he was making, like, what is that movie? They or Them? Like, he was not making like great movies in the early 2000s.
Right.
Like
he wasn't doing screams.
Yeah. Right. Like, I don't know if he hit like a downslope like. Well, I don't know if he hit a patch like John Carpenter did in the early 2000s. Their careers seem to have like a similar kind of trajectory to me a little bit.
One of my favorite things in movies is when they're not allowed to specifically use brand names or anything like that, so they just name their airline Fresh Air.
That's a real airline.
What? No.
Yeah. Now.
Are you serious?
It's IMDb trivia.
Bullshit.
But apparently it was a real airline that was sold like 2 years later. I don't think it's an American airline.
Yeah, because it was called Fresh Air.
Yeah, like Fresh Air. It's like, yeah, that place smells like a rat's ass. That place smells like a dead guy's asshole.
Ma'am, this is anything but fresh. I'm gonna need a refund.
Now I want the plane that's named Dead Pile of Shit. Like that. That one's gonna smell like $1 million.
Yeah, you fly the airline that's called Odorous. Okay, come on.
Yeah, Odor. Welcome to my plane. His name is Odorous. But
oh, that's good.
Let me see here. Yes, changes the rooms. I won't call it till her dad is on the ground. And they're finally landing. She changes the rooms. They check that boat out on the water, the Rapture. Thought that was kind of an interesting name for the boat. Because I was wondering where the hell that case was going to come in this movie, and then all of a sudden they fish it up. I was like, oh, son of a bitch, that's really cool. And she brings up the scar. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about what happens to Lisa, like the origin of the scar?
I'm gonna be 100% honest. I don't remember what the scar represents. So you're gonna have to.
So the scar, she never explicitly says what happened. But she says the scar, and he's like, what? She's like, the scar. It happened at a parking lot. He held a knife to me the whole time. Like, I assume she was sexually assaulted, and that's why it makes sense. Like, her dad the whole time is like, are you okay? And blah, blah, blah. And I totally forgot that too. I did not remember that at all. And I don't know how I feel about it, because part of me goes like, you know what? Like, that adds a very, very frighteningly real element to this movie. Unfortunately, almost everybody knows a woman who's been, sexually harassed or sexually assaulted. And I think that, it's a frighteningly real thing to put on it, but also at the same time, I don't like, I don't know, because it's like, are they trying to make up excuses for why she's so tough? Are they being like, yeah, she's really fighting back because she's a victim? And I'm like, yeah, see, I kind of like the idea of her fighting just on the terms of like, no, I'm. I have nothing against her being a victim of sexual assault, but it feels like a weird kind of twist, and it feels kind of strange. And I don't know if I love that reveal, because part of me feels like it's like, oh, they're trying to explain why she's so tough. Part of me feels that way, but also it adds an element of like, well, unfortunately that is an element of society that like happens and shit, and it's not unfortunately uncommon. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like I kind of I'm kind of okay with it, but I'm also like, it's an odd. I don't know. It's such a man. I don't know of any other movie where the revelation is that the protagonist had been sexually assaulted. That's a hell of a thing to drop onto somebody at the climax of a movie. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and I can see what they're doing. Like you said, they are trying to give some credibility to the fact that she is a fighter, that she is a quick thinker. And yeah, I also agree that the assault aspect of this is not as fleshed out as it should be. I'm not saying that you should show us a flashback of her getting assaulted or some shit like
Oh
that. No,
God,
no,
no.
no, no.
Yeah.
But I think yes, because this is why I couldn't remember this, because it feels a little bit like an afterthought, just a little
It
bit.
feels just kind of added on at the end.
Sure. I but ultimately I kind of like dig that like she is a fighter because she's been through something harrowing,
Mm-hmm.
and her father is concerned because she's been through something harrowing. And she's, you can make the argument that she's been fighting men like this her entire life. So I don't know. I think I'm a bit 50-50 on it, like you said, like you are as well. Um,
Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know.
it
It's
feels a
such
little
a
tacked on.
right, and it feels like we've had one mention. Like, there are a couple of things. Like, I like how concerned her dad is. There's the physical scar, like, but it's just I don't know. Is that a reason why because she is kind of a workaholic? Is that one of the reasons why she's such a workaholic? She's just burying herself in the work to get away from what happened, because it's fairly recent. I think she's last 2 or 3 years. Um, but I don't know. I just I don't I feel like it's kind of there as an excuse for why she's a. But at the same time, like, I'm not like, I don't know. Like, I don't. Why does there have to be kind of like an excuse for it? But at the same time, I'm not totally against it. Like, because there are victims of assault that do probably have like that are like this now, that would totally turn around and fuck somebody up, and unfortunately, like you said, it's a real thing that kind of happens. But I don't know. I just kind of wanted to know what your take on it was. Um, but we get this great scene, the infamous scene, probably the most infamous scene of this movie, the pin to the throat. Holy shit. And again, very weird, like a forceful kind of like penetration, like that, with
Hmm.
this kind of odd, like, that's really odd. As she's telling a story about a sexual assault, it's just insane. But she ends up getting him right in the throat. He takes it when he pulls it out, and I'm like,
Oof.
dude, no, leave that fucking thing in, man. Like I saw a video. This guy had a Ziploc bag full of water, and he stabbed a pencil through it, and he's like, okay, you see, there's no water coming out each side, and then he pulls the pencil out and the water just starts gushing out. He's like,
Oof.
leave the arrow in, or whatever it was. He's like,
Right.
leave it in.
And the stabbing, yeah.
um
I again, just a testament to Wes Craven's directing when she says, and I swear I'll never happen again, let it happen again. The sound cue of the seatbelt light going off, and then boom, like
yeah,
it's just really well set up. He's so good at this stuff.
I do
Was
love
so
the
good at this
editing of
stuff.
this movie. This movie's
Oh yeah.
edited very well.
Mm.
It's, again, it's kind of I think this has like a 6.5 on IMDb, and I mean, it's a little bit better than that. I would say about a 7.
Oh,
uh
it's pretty high on Rotten
t-
Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
You don't say tomatoes?
Rotten Tomato. No, I said tomatoes. Just it's just my natural reaction. So
Interesting.
6.5 on IMDb, 79 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm somewhere in the middle of that. I think it's a solid movie, but it's an above average thriller from the early 2000s.
I agree.
But yeah, she stabs him in the throat. She makes a run for it. We get this great kind of cat and mouse with the airport security, which is hilarious to think that's how lax airport security would be
Dude.
in 05. Like, she would have been
There's
shot
no way.
like 10 times.
the National Guard is already there waiting for them. I guarantee you.
She gets shot by SEAL Team 9, like running out the fucking door.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got her.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we got her. But she and Cillian Murphy, kind of play this game of like cat and mouse running through. She ends up stealing a car. I think she gets his cell phone.
Murphy's terrifying in this last
Oh yeah, the scarf around
the scarf,
neck.
the breathing, just how smoothly he's managing. He grabs the scarf from that woman. That's my scarf.
Yes.
What about this flight attendant? Whoa, he just fucking bowls her over. I was like, what are you doing? Yeah,
he just like plows straight through her. Lisa is she calls Cynthia first. She's like, hey, listen, get the secretary out of there, get his whole family out of there. Cynthia runs, makes the arrangements. She tries to call her dad, but her dad is asleep on the couch, watching the all night comedy fest, which is like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good night actually.
Sorry, I'm just watching them running through the airport and just like. The airport is the one place anywhere that you can't do anything suspicious or you can't make any sudden movements. Like they're just like straight up like sprinting through the airport, and it's just like this would not happen, especially in 2005.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's such a sensitive kind of like, let's just not make the wrong move here. Let's everybody just take it easy. That like running through, like she would have been tased like from 14 different places. But we get our boys on the Rapture. They fire up the old RPG and take their shot. Wow, okay.
They fire a javelin.
Yeah, I guess I guess these are leftover guys from True Lies or something.
Dude, is this? Yeah, what was the Crimson Dawn? Crimson
Jihad or something like that.
Crimson Jihad. Yeah. Sorry, I'm mixing up Die Hard, which is Asian Dawn.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, fucking javelin. What are they playing? Modern Warfare? What is it?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Like Jesus, I guess that guy he got 5 kills, and I guess that gives him a javelin. He already had UAV.
But also, okay, why did it have to be that room? Can they not fire the javelin lower?
From the road? From the other side?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean because yeah, can't you just go to a building like on the other, like I don't know, pull a Dark Knight and like go to the top roof of a building somewhere in the vicinity and fire on them? Like,
okay, but it is pretty smooth how they just dump that javelin back in the ocean again.
Yeah, they are straight up just like, all right, like it's like you see people like dust the gun off and throw it in the gutter, like that's not mine. Yeah, so obviously the assassination attempt is a failure. Lisa goes to her dad's and sees the hitman, who apparently can't get out of the way of a moving car, which is hilarious. I love the fact that this guy's a professional hitman, and he's just like, I'll just stare her down. I'm like, even if you shoot her, she could like
the car's still going to be going in a straight line. I don't.
Good God! Yeah. And
this guy's like 2 days away from retirement as well. He looks ancient.
Well, I was going to say this guy looks like, I don't know, he kind of looks like he would be on Dr. Phil for something, like for something kind of strange. Like my dad dresses up as Pikachu and lets my mom shit on him.
Sometimes I get feelings around kids. Yeah.
Yeah, so weird stuff. But yeah, it's kind of like it's the most boring looking guy in the world who's just like, I have a collection of children's shoes, and it's like, all right, get away from me. You fucking creep.
He's ruined my Jeep. Now I have to drive my panel van around.
Yeah. Now I got to drive my Buick. But she shows up to her dad's. She ends up taking out the pedophile. I mean, hitman. she runs him over. She checks in on her dad. Her dad is fine for the time being, and we get the reemergence of Jackson Ripner.
This is my least favorite portion of the movie. This
too.
Cat and mouse stuff inside the house.
Didn't love it.
Yeah, I think it just goes on for a while, and it's just like, okay, come on, man, let's wrap this thing up, you know?
Right. Like I'll be straight up. I love the architecture of this house. This house is awesome. It reminds me a little bit of Sidney Prescott's house in Scream, like
Ooh,
some
I
of
like
the
that,
angles
yep.
of it and stuff. I like the heel and the thigh that she fucking kicks him hard enough to bury the heel. I'm like, God, dude, do you have any idea how much that must hurt? Like, I've talked about it many times, being shot with a nail gun. It doesn't hurt that bad because it's so sharp. It just goes through, but it's a dull thing being forced through your skin that is 1,000 times worse.
That was your Richard Keel moment from Happy Gilmore.
Yes, exactly. We make that joke constantly. Like, 'cause people get shot, like, not all the time, but every 4 to 6 months, somebody gets shot with a staple or a nail gun, and they're like, "All right, reset the clock," and it's like 0 days for that accident.
Do you guys have one of those? That's cool.
Hell yeah, we do. We have one by the time clock. But I think
nice.
I think we have like 185 days without an accident.
We have one of those for when we type too fast. It's a bit of a cramp
Christ.
and.
Oh yeah, when I stand up and I haven't done my stretches yet.
Sure. Yeah.
But like you said, we get this game of cat and mouse. Where's your male-driven, fact-based logic now, Jack? I kind of hate those lines from the beginning, honestly. Like he's like, ditch your feminine, emotion-based logic, and I'm like, okay, calm down, Andrew Tate. Like,
right.
They're trying a little too hard to make him like, okay, dude, I get it. He's the villain. Like,
it's kind of funny. I mean, you kind of would have lines like that now, except they'd be considered a bit meta, right?
Right. Well, yeah, and I think the movie kind of has this with her, it's Lisa, and then there's like the little girl, and then there's the older woman. Like, they all kind of play a part in kind of helping Lisa at one point, and like the stewardess, yeah, like the flight attendants and stuff. There's Cynthia at the hotel, and it seems like a lot of and I'm not complaining, it's just an observation that like there's a lot of like female protagonists. I like that there's a lot of female. The woman that's getting bitched out at the counter is a female. Like I don't mind that. I'm not complaining about it. But it is something kind of like interesting to note that there's a lot of like male antagonists, but not, and a lot of female protagonists, and
it's stuff that you don't really pick up on the first viewing or anything, to be honest, because it's such a straight up thriller. Like,
right, yeah, and it's just like I real shout out to like the supporting cast and everything. So those people really help. Like, even though this isn't an absolute banger of a movie, the world is fleshed out decently enough, and it's done by these like it's like the theater players. It's like the character actors that really kind of fill up these roles.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we have this great game of cat and mouse, of her kind of making the runs. I did love him being behind the door, though. That is really cool when she makes the call and then she goes to shut that door, and I was like, that's fucking pretty cool. I dig that.
As we talk about this, I can't believe that this is the first movie of 2023. Is that how this year's going to go for us?
It's not a I like Red Eye. It's not a terrible movie. It's sure. I think it's a good like quick, if we just ate it, we're going to eat dinner, we want to put a quick movie on, hour 20, hour and 30 minutes long. And it's movies like this that make, to quote yourself, gangbusters at the cinema, where this is like in 26 million, I think it made almost $100 million. Like, it made 3/4 over its budget. Like, god damn, like, that's crazy.
Yeah. You know what's a good movie like this that might be a little bit better. Again, really short, but it just hits you right where you need it to in its intensity. Is Unstoppable, Tony Scott movie, starring Denzel Washington and Chris Pine. It's the one about the runaway train. It's really good.
I have not heard of that.
It's really good.
What do you think about her dad getting the death shot, the final shot?
Yeah, You know what? I was thinking about that, and as you were talking about the males in this character in this movie, kind of like being a bit more antagonistic. I like that it's the one male in her life that she trusts and relies on that saves her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of like it because it's obviously her. Jack is a kind of a scapegoat for the people that have victimized her, for the people that have attacked her. And I think there's also something in there too about like, when you do something, when you rape somebody and you sexually assault somebody, you don't just destroy part of their life, you destroy parts of lives of the people all around them and stuff, and it's not, it's not just, oh, I've ruined one person's life. It's like, no, you fucked up a lot of other people's lives. So I do like the fact that it's kind of seems like both of them get it's kind of like both of them getting a shot in on the bad guy at the end of the movie, both of them getting a good punch, at the end of the movie, kind of like, this guy represents this thing that's happened a couple of years ago to her, and both of them kind of get to put a stop to literally he grabs her wrist and pins her down at one point. I'm like, come on, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're really trying to drive home what's happened a couple of years, and there's not anything wrong with that. But I think it's important to kind of like realize what he represents at the end of this movie is kind of a rapist. He represents, that thing that's this thing out of the dark that's going to come after you, and again, imagine her luck. You're sexually assaulted, and then 2 years later you get on a plane with this fucking psycho. I'd be like, God damn it. What am I? What kind of psycho magnet am I?
Which is Rachel McAdams. Have you seen it? I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, right, dude. In 2005, like, holy shit, like, dude, especially in high school, every guy was like fucking going nuts about Rachel McAdams. But I think there's something kind of interesting in the fact that both of them kind of get to get a final lick in on him, because he was also kind of, to a lesser extent, but he was pretty goddamn close to being a victim in this as well. He just sat on the couch and ate Ruffles the whole time, but he was still, he could have been shot at any moment. The javelin was just
fucking him
dinging.
up with that hockey stick, by the way.
Those things fucking hurt, man. You get that grip tape on the end of them, like, holy shit.
But her going over the banister and down the stairs, that looks fucking painful, man.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Red Eye, baby. They drop a couple of shots, 2 to the chest, and that's the end of old Jackson Pollock.
Well, no, hold on. We've got 2 more antagonists who get what they
Oh yeah. Bill and Melinda Gates. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is that couple that pulled the guns on the protesters.
God, yes.
The guy had the rifle and she had the handgun.
So funny.
Oh my God. Yeah, she tells him, fill out a comment card and shove it up your ass, which is like, God, anybody who's worked in customer service would long to say those words.
Yes, absolutely. Back at the movies, when I used to work at the movies, I used to dream about that shit, man, telling a couple of people just to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, go eat shit. Which is such a great feeling. Do we have any comment
card? She asked us to fill out a comment card. You want us to fill out a comment card?
Yeah. Speaking of comment cards, do we have any comments for this?
We do. Yes. Thank you, because I literally just posted it as soon as we started hitting record.
Nice.
I was just like, let me just post this, see if we get anything, and we did. So thank you so much for commenting, guys. Let me see who we have. So, of course, so we have 2 group experts. So thank you so much to Danielle and Patrick. Danielle's
2 green room members.
Yes, absolutely. Danielle's comment: in the barren wasteland that was mid-August horror, Red Eye was a refreshing change of pace from the torture porn and remake after remake we were getting. Now that's interesting.
Cool.
Because 2005, right? I mean, it is not a good time for horror at this point. Not a good time.
No, it is not. No.
Tense atmosphere and good chemistry between McAdams and Murphy help elevate what could have been another schlocky action horror. McAdams and Murphy, though, the dynamic there is interesting when I look back with the 2023 eyes. I wonder if the movie were made today, the horror would simply be a woman stuck on a plane with an aggressive individual who won't take no for an answer. Side note, looking back, there were a lot of planes getting hijacked in action movies back in the day. What was up with that? Also, what's your favorite movie involving a plane? Mine is 100% Con Air. looking forward to the episode, guys.
Thank
I love
you.
Danielle's comments, man. Like I always love that they involve a question.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably Air Force One. I like Air Force One a lot. I think Danny and I covered that a long time ago. I don't know if you were on that one or not. I can't remember. But
I was
I've
on that
always
one. Yeah, for sure, I was on that one.
I think that was a commentary episode, if I remember. But I love Air Force One. It's just when I think of like fictional American presidents, I pretty much think of Harrison Ford and Bill Pullman.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, I love plane movies. Danielle stole mine right from under me, though. Con Air is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just
never seen it.
It knows exactly what it is. Like it is a fun, incredibly fun romp.
Sayonara. I've seen that, and I was like, oh my god,
brilliant, man. A couple of other honorable mentions.
Airplane.
I know that this isn't. I mean, look, it's not really a plane movie, but it's kind of a plane movie. I mean, Top Gun Maverick, right? I mean, it's not set on a commercial
planes.
airliner, but you know,
yeah.
And of course, Airplane. Airplane is one of my favorite movies of all time. Like it's fucking hilarious, man.
Absolutely. Oh, and I'll read Patrick Harrington. This is a
very
movie.
In-depth comment from Patrick.
This is a movie from 2005. Rachel McAdams is gorgeous. That is all. All those things are factually accurate, which is the funny part. Which is Rachel McAdams. Again, for those of you who might be listening to this and don't know, I'm from the South. I'm from Tennessee, and there was an insane amount of love for Rachel McAdams around this time. I think she was in The Time Traveler's Wife as well, like a few years later, and that was actually weirdly popular where I was from. So she was, I mean, good God, there was a time and place where like Rachel McAdams, like, holy shit, like she owned the hearts of many a young man, including myself. I had a crush on her as well. But then I know she's in Doctor Strange, but I haven't seen it, but I just feel like I haven't seen her in a shit ton of stuff lately.
I recommend a movie called About Time. It is a romantic comedy. I'm not a big romantic comedy fan, but it is incredibly deep, and not at all what you think it is. But yeah, it's written and directed by Richard Curtis, who did Love Actually. But it stars Rachel McAdams and Domhnall Gleeson.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, and it's got who's his dad in it? Bill Nye. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah, I need to see that. I've heard it's very good. You
absolutely do. Like I'm not kidding. It's fucking great. It's a great movie.
What's it called again?
About Time.
About Time. Well, you know what? Also, it's about time to hang up the microphones. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a lot of fun. We hope you enjoyed the episode. No, what's your final thoughts on this?
No. I mean, look, I don't have any other thoughts other than
it's a solid flick.
It's a solid flick. It's a solid hour. It's $1.27.
Right.
Like, you know.
Right. And part of me wants to go like, yeah, I'd let kids watch this and stuff, but then it's hard to kind of explain like the sexual assault like aspect, like depending on the age, you know.
Sure. I think I was a good age watching this. Sure, I had nightmares, but that was because Cillian Murphy's baby blues were piercing through my skull.
Yeah.
Yes, and the pen to the neck. But other than that, that's the only two really violent things that really happen in this movie, right? Like the javelin explosion is not really, it's not really a thing. By the way, we didn't talk enough about that explosion. That like the practical elements of that explosion are pretty cool. When you see it from inside the hotel, it looks fucking sick. But yeah, I think it's a good. If you are wanting to introduce someone to horror, like a kid to horror, it's not a horror. It's if we are splitting hairs, thriller. I hate when people do this, like whatever. But it has elements of horror, and it's a great introduction to tension, to tense storytelling. Yeah, I think it's a solid flick. It's just there's something about it that feels made for TV, and I can't figure out why.
I think that I might be wrong. I think it was a first time writer or first time director. I can't remember. I'm probably wrong about that.
Wes Craven.
No, not yeah. It's first time writer. Then never mind. Sorry. I wasn't thinking Wes Craven for some reason. But I want to say one of the guys that wrote it was one of his first times writing something. So there might be elements of that.
I looked it up now, and it makes a little more sense. But he did write on Buffy.
Oh, cool. I've been watching that.
This was his first movie that he wrote, but he did end up writing Disturbia, which I really liked.
Oh yeah, I love Rear Window.
Yeah. Oh, dude, love Rear Window. We got to cover that. The Last House on the Left. He wrote.
Oof.
Patrick's gonna love this. He wrote the Red Dawn remake.
There you go. Hell yeah.
And I'm not sure if you remember, but the movie that came out a couple of years ago called Unhinged with Russell Crowe, where he plays the crazy.
Oh yeah, fat
driver.
traffic guy.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
you know what? It's interesting now that that's all colored for me. I can definitely see this writer's fingerprints all over all of these movies. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I could see how that would make a little bit more sense. But guys, if you've made it all the way to the end of the episode, thank you very much for hanging out with us and wrapping up this movie, hitting the final credits with us. If you want to check out and get more of our stuff, you can go to patreon.com/midnight double feature. You become a member of the Green Room. It's $5 a month, and you get access to 50, 60 something episodes now. And the list is just going to continue growing. Also, be sure to check out our Breaking Bad podcast called Bad Crystal. We've been revamping that soon and putting a lot more episodes into it, so there is a lot more coming, guys. If you are fans of that, we appreciate your patience, but we're getting to everything in due time, all in due time. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. So have you got anything else before we get out of here?
No, not really. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, guys. We really appreciate your support as always, and we will catch you on the next episode. Bye.